Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek, and for the next 3 minutes, we're going to take an honest look at one chapter in the New Testament. No pressure, just space to understand. Today's chapter is Matthew chapter 14. This chapter begins with death. John the Baptist, the bold voice who prepared the way for Jesus, he's executed. And the reason is not about justice. Honestly, it's pride, manipulation, and a ruler who can't back down without losing face. Matthew doesn't linger on the details for long, but the weight is pretty clear. When Jesus hears the news, he withdraws. He looks for solitude. He finds space to grieve. But the crowds, they don't give him that space. They follow him. They pursue him. And instead of turning them away, Jesus responds with tremendous compassion. He heals the sick, and when evening comes and people are hungry, he tells his disciples to feed him. They push back and they say, there isn't enough. This is one of those moments where they're scratching their heads trying to figure out what God is actually up to. Jesus takes what little they do have, 5 small loaves and 2 fish. This was a boy's lunch. He was actually going to use those fish to catch more, is what tradition tells us. And somehow, there's enough. There's actually more than enough. Not through excess, but rather through trust, sharing, and faith that Jesus is able to do far more than they could imagine. The scene then shifts in Matthew once again. The disciples are in a boat, caught in a storm. They're exhausted. They're afraid. Jesus comes toward them, walking on the water. They believe he's a ghost. I mean, after all, they're in the middle of the water. Who walks on water? Fear honestly distorts their perception. There's an exchange between Jesus and Peter, and eventually Peter steps out of the boat. He walks toward Jesus, bold for a moment, but quickly overwhelmed by the pressure of what reality tells him should and shouldn't happen. He sinks. He takes his eyes off of Jesus and plummets like a rock in a pond. Jesus reaches out and grabs Peter and lifts him up. The interesting thing is really important. The details are critical. Jesus doesn't wait for Peter to regain confidence. He doesn't say, Peter, why don't you believe in me and then I'll help you? Rather, he meets Peter in the midst of his fear. Something I think you and I can learn is Jesus doesn't wait for us to clean it all up and get it all right. He actually jumps in and meets us right in that messy spot of our lives. Matthew 14 moves quickly, but the thread is pretty consistent throughout. There's loss, there's scarcity, and fear. But none of those stop God from being present in our lives. Most of us don't face one crisis at a time. There's grief, pressure, and fear that often stack on top of each other. This chapter doesn't promise easy outcomes, but it does suggest that presence matters more than control. Thanks for taking these 3 minutes. Be well, friends.